My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our DUK Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Welcome back to another DUK Dogs episode. I'm Josh Miller, and we are talking gun dogs. So thank you guys for joining me here for another week. I want to thank our sponsors first and foremost because this doesn't happen without them. So thank you to DUK Dogs. The blend of food that we feed is the 30-20, the Premium Performance Sport 30-20. We love that food. Our dogs do fantastic on it. Coats, teeth, energy level, recovery, across the board, we're very, very happy with it. So go check them out. DUK Dogs Premium Performance Sport 30-20. Also thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck is, it's quite honestly the safest place for your dog to travel. They have a 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the large size and the intermediate size. A lot of people ask me what size our dogs use. I mainly run the intermediate. Even with my biggest dog is probably Brock and Bud, and they do great in that size. But if you need the large, they have that for you too. So go check them out, www.luckyduck.com. Also, thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your hunting and training needs, as it really revolves around your gun dog. And they're starting to get a lot of tools back in stock. I just heard that they got poppers back in. We just ordered a bunch of them. They're getting more and more equipment every day. Get your gear early, because if it was like last year, stuff's just going to be hard to get. So stock up on that stuff. So go check them out, www.gundogsupply.com. And also thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka is, it's been just the most comfortable clothing that I have ever worn, both in the field and my everyday. I literally have the back 40 pants on right now. I have a Sitka waterfall hoodie on right now. I just love this stuff. So go check them out, www.sitkagear.com, and keep in touch with us because we're going to do something really cool here with Sitka here this summer. So a little tease of what's to come. So stay in tune with that. So I hope you guys are off to a great start to the week. We finally are just about done with snow. I hope. It says it's supposed to snow tomorrow according to the weather, but hopefully it's just a dusting and is gone. But I'm just ready. I'm ready to be back in the field, back in training mode. Our intermediate level dogs for our first class just came in here this week. We have all of our advanced dogs coming in here in about another month. It's just up here, the hard part in Wisconsin is trying to time seasonality-wise when to bring these groups of dogs in so you can get the most out of them. So for our intermediate dogs, the reason the first class comes in now is because we have probably a month to a month and a half of just very simple, basic yard work. And so it's a lot of obedience. It's a lot of, at your side, control. And so we can do that right now no matter what the weather. But fast forward, month and a half from now, when we're talking, middle of May, we're going to be wanting to be in the field and kind of rock and rolling. So the timing of it is really good. And then for my advanced dogs, I don't get them in until May because that's when I know I can be most consistent here with the weather and, again, hit the ground running and get the most out of them here over the summer. So it's exciting. But as I look to that, I've had some very interesting conversations with clients this week as they've been bringing their dogs in. And I wanted to share one of the things we talked a lot about, which was progressions and how these progressions relate to your dog and their growth, and their maturity, and not only a physical maturation, but a mental, side of this too, because I think a lot of us are a little over the top as far as our aspirations and goals. I love that we have these goals. I love that we want to get there, but you have to get there in due time. And one of the conversations I had with a client today was so interesting. Actually, it wasn't today, it was yesterday. But it was so interesting because she made the note of how her dog is starting to progress. We had talked about these progressions and how they go, from that, puppy stage where they're like bouncing off the walls, they're all over the place, they're like a toddler. And then you get into that stage where it's like, all right, you're like that young high schooler that, you know what you should be doing, you do it a lot of the times, but there's times you're just like, what in the world, right? And they have these kind of like WTF moments of what are you doing here? And then you come full circle to the back end of it, I guess, is that full maturation. You have that adult dog. You have that dog that's just, you can just tell this dog is different. And where we really see it is in the exercise yard. And so at the kennel here, we have an exercise yard that will bring dogs out in groups, partly due to socialization. We want them to get a lot of socialization while they're in. What we've found, especially since COVID, is that a lot of people just struggle with this. They struggle with getting their dogs around a bunch of other dogs, especially in a very positive environment. I'm not a big dog park fan because you just don't know. You don't know, if that German Shepherd that's coming up to your little 6-month-old puppy is going to be lovey-dovey or want to eat their face, right? And so you want to have these very positive experiences. So here, what's so great at the kennel is that we get the opportunity to take these dogs. We know it's a good environment. We don't have to take dogs that are aggressive or are anxious or are defensive, all these, behavioral issues. And so we can almost guarantee, of course, they're still dogs, right? Dogs are still going to be dogs. But we're putting the odds in our favor that things are going to be as positive as they can be. But when we bring these dogs out into the exercise yard, they're out there multiple times a day. And it's so interesting as you watch the progressions because, so how we split up the groups is boys and girls are always separate for what should be obvious reasons. But just in case there was a girl in heat that for some reason we didn't see. We always see it, but you just never know. We would rather not have, up there right now we have, the, poodle pointer that, breeds the golden retriever, and now we have just a mess. So just to be safe, we split them up and we go boys and girls. So then inside the boys and inside the girls group, then we break it down even further. Puppies go together. The more of the intermediate level dogs go together. More of the advanced level dogs go together. And a lot of this has to do with age. And so as you look at the progression of a dog's life and kind of that maturation, roller coaster at times, these puppies are so different than obviously the adult dogs. And if you put these dogs together, right, so you have that puppy that is play. They want to, chew on the ears. They want to grab their jowls. They want to be, bugging those older dogs. I mean, you're kind of setting yourself up for, at some point, that older dog is going to have to say, that's enough. Now, this is where sometimes people come in and be like, no, bad dog. You scold the older dog. The older dog was just drawing the line. The younger dog didn't know where the line was. It has now been established. For us, when we take that off the table, we get to see the progression that this dog goes through over the course of their life. So let's just start with the puppies. The puppies go out and they're just ripping around. Play, wrestle, roll. And today it's raining. If you have a rainy day like today, these puppies all come in and all need baths because they're just caked with mud because they're having so much fun, which is great, right? It's like the second graders at recess, right? Run, go get the jitters out, go get the energy out, go play, go socialize, go have a good time. That's awesome. Then when we work, all that pent up energy is now at least a little bit deflected. Now we can be more productive. But then you go to the intermediate dogs, let them out, and it's a little bit of that. Sometimes they'll get a little bit of play, a little bit of chase, a little bit of run around. And then usually by the end of the airing session, those dogs are kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing. They have that time right away, and then they kind of are a little more independent. They're going to sniff around, go to the bathroom, do their thing. But most of those dogs, by the end of the session, are all individual. And then you get the adult dogs or the advanced dogs that come out. And usually dogs at this age are 2, 3, 4, depending on when they come back in. Those dogs, almost right away when they come out, they're doing their own thing. They're independent. They're not to say they won't ever play, but generally speaking, they have their own areas, and they just do their own thing, mind their own business, might play a little bit, go right back to it. And the reason I think it's so interesting to appreciate this, first off, for me and Dave, I guess maybe I don't talk about Dave enough here. Dave has been training for me for this will be 10 years, which is incredible. He's just been a great employee, great friend, great trainer, great guy. But for he and I, once in a while, I'll stop us and I'll say, hey, let's just take a step back and appreciate this. Because if you think about it, letting dogs out every day to go do their thing, if you do this every single day the same way for 10 years, for me longer, easy to take that for granted. Easy to look at your phone, easy to watch the geese and the ducks flying over, easy to watch, like this time you were starting to see the turkeys come out in the field, easy to watch other things, not be in tune with what's going on. But this week, I did that. I stopped us and I'm like, hey, let's appreciate this. Because you can really see the progressions that these dogs take. And why it's so important for us to appreciate that is to make sure that you are not pushing your dog when they're not ready for it. So we talk a lot about moving at the dog's pace, right? And I get asked all the time, like, how do I know what the pace is? And it's so hard, like definitions. Sometimes people ask me to define. There's just someone that asked me to define obedience. Like, so what is my definition of obedience, or what my level is of obedience? Well, my level is going to be different than your level. Is going to be different than someone else's level, and that definition is likely going to be somewhat fluid because my expectation here on, just like when my advanced dogs come in, my expectation for obedience when you are on lead at my side should be that I'm near perfect. Because then when I go out and I start pushing you out, I'm asking you to be at control now, not at 1 yard, but 101 yards. As we're learning, my expectations have to change. If my expectation is perfect, immediately now away from me, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to be disappointed. And now my expectation has just completely distorted my view of what this training session should be. So it's hard to define some of this stuff, right? It's hard to define, what the process of your dog is. But here's what I will tell you. If you read your dog and you spend enough time with your dog, you'll see it. You'll see the dog kind of hit these levels. You'll see the dog start to have more maturity and have more focus and have more, maybe a lengthier attention span. I think it's so neat here that we can have these kind of cut up, segments. We have our puppies, we have our intermediate, we have our advanced. Even after our advanced, we have dogs that have been finished that they're, let's see, I have a dog coming in this year that's going to be 8, and he's coming every single summer his whole life. You just see differences in these dogs. You obviously don't have that luxury likely at home, and so that's where I'm going with this thing, is that if you kind of watch each progression, you'll know, okay, how far do I push? How hard do I push, right? If you're in this puppy stage, it is not the time to be trying to work on casting and work on, a blind, running pile work. It's not the time. There will be a time for it, but, you guys know I'm a sports guy now, a sports analogy. If you took a kid that should be playing t-ball and throw them into, coach's pitch or kid's pitch, and they can't hit the ball off the tee yet, you're setting them up to fail, which means they're not going to love doing it, which likely means you're never going to reach any kind of goal of what you're originally hoping for. Take what you can get, but go in the right steps, progressions. And then here's what I think is the coolest yet most frustrating progression of the whole thing. When you have to start over. We hear this all the time. You have a dog that was 13, 14 years old. And you're like, oh, that dog was perfect. It was automatic. And probably was. But your life and their life merged. Right? Your dog understood what their role was in the family, understood what the family's routine was, understood how things worked. And you the same. You understood how many times the dog had to go out. You understood how to read that dog because you'd been doing it for so many years. You guys were on the same page. And now you have to start over again. And we forget about all the BS that puppies can bring sometimes. Different energy, different needs. You need to now learn how to speak this new language to this new dog. And all the time people are like, oh my gosh, I forgot. I forgot what it was like. Sometimes people go through a little bit of a denial of like, oh, Coda was never like this. Never like this. Yeah, she was. She was. You just don't remember it. But she was. And then after people think about it, you're like, you're right. I just totally forgot about it. I forgot all the issues that we had. I forgot that puppy stage. Because it was a long time ago. Progressions is really interesting when you can sit back and appreciate the progressions for what they are. I think this is one of those steps that helps you fall in love with the process. And I also think it's one of these things, once you appreciate it, it also makes it so you don't fall in love with the result. Because you understand what you're going for. You want a finished dog. That's great. It doesn't happen at 6 months. It doesn't happen at a year and 6 months. For a lot of dogs, it doesn't happen at 3 years and 6 months. You'll get there. You'll keep working and you will achieve your goal. But it doesn't happen overnight. Progressions. I'm going through some of this right now. And this is interesting. Sometimes people ask me about, the imports. So the dogs we import from overseas, bring them here, and my process in handling them. And so some of these dogs come in very, very little training. Some of the dogs come in with some training as far as, obedience training, maybe some steadiness, things like that. Every dog is different. But I don't go into every dog going, okay, you have been running marks. You have been steady. You've done obedience. So you're with me now, and I'm going to now start running lines with you because this is what you should be doing. No. I go back as, first off, let's get to know each other. Let's spend some time together. Let's go on walks. Let's, throw some basic marks for you. Let's build a relationship. And then after that, let's do obedience. It's boring. It's boring. But it's where we build that rapport, right? It's where I can use the lead to consistently and clearly communicate. All of a sudden, think about that. Think of the communication. Wow, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's a huge deal. If you have ever heard someone speak in a very thick Scottish or English accent, coming here has to be like you're speaking Spanish now. Think about the world that has been rocked. New environment, new conditions, new living area, new people, new language, new everything. It would be so unfair for me to do this to them, bring them in and say, hey, you should be here. I'm going to start at the next step. I go back to square one. But that's also why it takes me over a year for a lot of these dogs to know, are you special or are you not? I've had Solo for over a year. That dog has done a lot with me. We have done so much work, so much training, so much traveling, so much. And I still am not yet saying he's 100% in. It's very close, but he's not 100% yet. I still have some things I want to see out of him. But the kid's good. So I guess where I'm going with that again is for you and your puppy or you and your younger dog, going backwards isn't a bad thing. It's always great to retouch, and it's always great to kind of look at, again, what is going on inside that head, especially if you don't have a mature dog. Taking a step back and making sure that you're on the same page is always the right way to go forward. Again, with the imports, that's why I take that step back. Let's be clear. Let's communicate. Let's make sure we're speaking the same language, because once we get out in the field, if I'm not certain that we are on the same page, it is never going to work out like what I think it is. And why this is so important for a couple of reasons. First off, I need to be doing everything I can to be understanding the dog's progressions. What is natural in this dog? What do I need to train in? What do I need to fix? What are the issues? Where are the holes? Every dog has them. Where are they? That's why I don't, sometimes these dogs come in during hunting season. There isn't any chance ever that I will take a dog that's been imported and hunt them right away. I don't even know this dog. This dog doesn't know me. Even if and it's not my style to be purchasing dogs that are fully finished and fully trained and bring them here. It's just, I really enjoy that development process. I think there's a lot that shows me. But even if I did bring a dog in that way, I wouldn't bring them right on the field because I don't know this dog, right? Again, think of the world that has just been rocked. I want to make sure that these things are going to work out. I don't like flipping coins. I want to put in the work and make sure that I know it's going to work. That's the process. These two boys that I have in right now, one's name is Tucker, one's name is Theo. Both really nice dogs. I like them both. Haven't got to do a whole lot of work. Have been working on obedience. I can tell you they are both very willing to please. They want to work for you. They want to be with you. That's all I'm looking at right now. I'm not looking at pushing them because I'm taking that step back. Progressions. Don't move too fast. Understand the process. I think it's really, really important. Really important. If you guys have not checked out Retriever Roadmap yet, you got to do it. I cannot believe how much positive feedback has come through about that program. It has been a great tool. Let me talk a little bit about it. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm really excited about this. Retriever Roadmap is, I've worked on this for years. I've tried to look at different sides of the fence, as I think good trainers do. You want to use knee collar? Great. Here's a route. You don't want to use knee collar? Great. Here's a route. You'll work with your mouth? Here's the train retrieve process. Here's hole conditioning. There's different routes along the way, and that's why it took so long to film this thing, is that we needed dogs that were going to go through this. I didn't want to use a finished dog, walk them through this thing, make it look all perfect and pretty, and then have someone at home be frustrated because it's like, my dog isn't doing it like that. Well, the reason your dog isn't sitting on command on on-leash obedience is because it's not a 6-year-old finished dog that's doing the demonstration. Right? So we take a 7-month-old dog, and you'll see the issues. You see what goes on through the train retrieve process, which I think for most people out there, probably the biggest thing people question. Train retrieve. I don't call it force fetch because I think there's a negative association so many people have with that term because of the old school approach. And when I say old school approach, what I mean is a ton of pressure. A lot of guys that I worked with and I learned that process from, that force fetching process, it was you apply a ton of pressure on the dog. When that pressure is applied, the dog opens their mouth almost to scream and say, ouch. When that happens, you shove something in their mouth, the pressure goes away, and they learn you better have something in your mouth, otherwise there's going to be a lot of pressure. Think about how backwards that is. Think about how backwards that is from what you really are looking for. You want this dog to love having things in their mouth, and as a matter of fact, they should be bred to love and want something in their mouth. And now you've just taken that thing that you want them to love more than anything else, and you've created a negative association with it. I think that's crazy. So what I've done is I've developed a process. It's not 100% the way that we do it at the kennel because there's different tools and there's different things that we can use, but the idea is very similar, and I've laid this out in a way that I believe anyone at home can do this process. And it has everything to do with teaching. It has everything to do with building that confidence. It has everything to do with making the corrections at the right time for clear and concise communication. That process is in there, or should be in there. I think that one should be up next week. So this process, this whole program is continuing to build. It's continuing to grow. It's continuing to add more routes, more lessons, more dogs as examples, more ideas, more philosophies, more methods. This is an ever-growing thing that I'm so excited about. And we've gotten so much extremely positive feedback on it. And here's the biggest thing. I wanted to make this to where it's super affordable for people. Super affordable so every person can take advantage of this. And I think we've done exactly that. So if you've not done that, go check it out. www.retrieverroadmap.com. Please let me know what you think because I'm over the top excited about this thing. So anyway, hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys have, if you're in more favorable weather than I'm in, hope you're getting able to get outside, start that spring training process. We're hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be able to take advantage of the same thing. And as we move into training season, we're just going to have more and more to talk about. So I love it. I absolutely love it. So hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.